The Prince George's County Fire and EMS Department is 50 years old. After all that time, we look a little different. Who doesn't after 5 decades? We have a fleet of shiny new fire trucks, refurbished and new firehouses, a new generation of leadership. But beneath it all, our focus is the same as it was in 1971 when PGFD was created, though the mission has expanded.
The fire service is no longer looked upon as just the fire service. You're looked upon as first responders for all hazards. You're part of a public safety team.
So this is our community, and our investment is to ensure that we serve them with the best possible care that we can provide.
Tiffany Green and Jim Estep are homegrown. Both began their fire service careers the same way, but in different decades. They were volunteer firefighters, one in Seat Pleasant and one in Oxon Hill.
I was in high school, had a friend there who was already a junior volunteer at Seat Pleasant, Company 8, and he kept telling me, you need to join, you need to join.
I enjoyed the volunteer aspect of firefighting and being an EMT, and I decided to just make that my career.
Fire and EMS in Prince George's County started with volunteer fire and rescue companies in communities throughout the county. As workloads increased, those companies began paying firefighters. By 1968, those early career firefighters were consolidated under the Department of Fire Protection. 3 years later, after voters approved the move to a charter form of government, PGFD was created.
In 1971, we were the largest combination career volunteer fire system in the country, and we had a lot of challenges ahead of us.
Larry Woltz, whose name is proudly displayed today on our fireboat, was the county's first fire chief.
There was a great deal of tension. The volunteer service in general had opposed charter government, and it was that consolidation and taking away their independence, and you can understand that. Larry was a very patient, he was an honest man, so he knew that if we didn't work to bring both sides together, that clearly we were not going to have the kind of agency that was ready, willing, and able to provide the services that we needed to the public.
The sudden death in 1976 of PGFD's second chief, Frank Bagulio, put Jim Estep in the spotlight.
I was 37 years old. Losing Frank was like losing a member of the family.
Jim Estep became PGFD's longest-serving chief. Building on his predecessors, Chief Estep and his staff created new ways to ensure the safety of the county. This included improvements in fire investigations, starting a bomb squad, creating a paramedic program, and building a training academy, even though it wasn't in the capital budget.
I don't think I have met a more talented group of people than exists today and existed then in the Prince George's County Fire and EMS system.
Probably the most ambitious effort was convincing the county council to enact a residential sprinkler law.
Looking to the people we serve, it's pretty clear that fires in homes, that's where we were losing the citizens, many of them children. And to get to a point where we could do something more to save lives before the fire department arrived, sprinklers really were the answer. I mean, that was proven time and time again.
Each of the fire chiefs that followed have built on these programs and initiated new ones.
And now we have leadership that is building not only on that legacy, but creating their own. And people like Chief Tiffany Green, whom I have an incredible amount of admiration for, not just as a fire chief, but as a human being.
So 50 years ago, this was a volunteer-centered department. We were relying 100% on our volunteers. Where we are now in 2021, I have over 1,000 career employees and a little under 900 volunteers. And it's kind of flipped a little bit. We're more a career-centered department with volunteer support. At the end of the day, in order for us to deliver the best service, in order for us to ensure that our community is protected, we have to be innovative in our ideas, our concepts, our deployment.
Tiffany Green is PGFD's 13th fire chief and the first woman to lead the department. She's one of less than a dozen African-American women who are fire chiefs in the United States.
Every interview I've done, I think people want to know what it feels like to be the first female fire chief. They want to know how I got here and what I'm doing every day. And quite honestly, it's exciting to be the first. But it's also a burden to be the first female chief. And the burden is just to make sure that I'm not the last.
Chief Green has led the department through one of the biggest challenges in its history, the COVID-19 pandemic.
I am extremely proud of the men and women of this department. They just went right back to their roots and their training. We showed up every day. We had the tools and everything necessary to mitigate COVID.
While the firefighters, paramedics, and EMTs are on the front lines, there are many others who are responsible for PGFD's progress over the last half-century.
There's 77 civilians that work tirelessly behind the scenes. They are the function, the backbone of our department.
Over 50 years, there have been struggles, enormous challenges, many triumphs, and, of course, tragedy. For these chiefs, these aren't just names on a building or on a stone. They're lessons learned.
In the last 5 years, we've had 3 significant line-of-duty deaths, 2 as it relates to occupational cancer, and 1 obviously from an operational incident. And every day, that's in our mind, and just trying to make sure that doesn't happen again.
Continued investment, ensuring the safety of the department's firefighters and paramedics has been a key legacy, and it's fundamental to what PGFD is today and will be in the future.
There's no question in my mind this department has seen tragedy over the years, and we have learned each time one of these things have occurred, and the application of what we've learned in the way of improving technology, improving the practices and the operational responsibilities is incumbent upon any leader to make certain that they protect the people who serve.
Just like we're looking at the 50th anniversary now, we're looking back over the last 50 years. Someone will look at the 100th year, and I hope when they look back, they'll see us as being an innovative department that's diverse and community-centered. My philosophy for the department is simple. It's one county, one department, with one mission, and that mission is to serve.